Oh boy. Oh boy. Yep. Things are getting rapidly worse. I do hope you're ready. I hope you have protection. I hope you're trying to build community. I hope you have strong families, good friends, because it's madness out there. And it's only going to get worse. You know all of that, right? Okay. Rage Against the Machine, analog synth player Sandra Pilar-Gill. Justin Wynn, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better. Alicia DeMoss, Denim Blue. I know you're probably in bed already, but I just like seeing you. Feels like this past week or so, the news has reached a whole new level of crisis, and we know it will only get worse. And that news, well, not just in the United States. We know an awful lot is going on in other countries. Okay. Vihar? Chempa? Yeah, the Hannibal Directive. Yep. You're talking about the 6 hostages that were found dead? Are we to believe everything that the IDF says? Sorry, I don't. Elle, hello. Let me see who else. Geofactor 3 and Barb in Ohio and Angelos and Andrew and Jack Bauer and Patricia White and Julie, Steve Ladner, Third Eye Sore and T Lamb. You can't handle worse? Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't handle worse, then ignore what's happening. I did, even 13 years ago, I was posting a lot of videos on getting your psyche developed to handle what was coming down the road, what we were facing 13 years ago. And I will tell you, I did not expect to see what we are witnessing. But, yeah, it takes a strong psyche to just be somebody who lives in reality. Oh, boy. More flooding in Florida. I'm not surprised. I saw the supercells. Anyway, Jane Northrup, Oracle 11, Sea Angel Girl. Hi, everybody. Yeah. All right. Only a few in the chat. It is September 4, 2024. Hey, James B. So, I just have radar tonight because there are no severe weather warnings. But actually, it looks like the supercells that were just hugging the coast again, the West Coast, have... many of them have been extinguished. Well, that's good, right? But what is this line that's going out west? Look at this. This line of nanobot precipitators. This is going east, okay? But this is going west. Yeah. Well, it's not only a mess on ground, but it's also a mess above us. And I really have to wonder if they have depleted the oxygen in the atmosphere, because a whole lot of people are really exhausted, and I'm experiencing an exhaustion that I've never had before. It's not fun, to say the least. So, oh boy. And look, earlier when I looked at this, it was a little bit of a tighter, just Wyoming, a very large kind of hurricane twirl with their precipitation. But this is looking pretty, well, we know it's manufactured, right? Look at this going into Texas. Unbelievable. And this is just going east, and what the hell is this on the coast that's, spitting out very defined lines of precipitation? We all know it's not. But yeah, very fast moving thunderstorms in Florida. Oh, okay. I will post the link to radar. All right. No geofactor, I can't remember, but I'm sure I said quite a lot. Anyway, let's get into it. As we always do, weather first. What went wrong? What went wrong? Well, San Antonio, Texas, high water rescues all over town. So the radar that I showed in Texas for 2 nights, and I showed it last night, and I said, look at this. It came together, but it was there for at least 24 hours. This whole blob of precipitation in the San Antonio, well, it was quite high north of San Antonio, so I'm sure other towns. But San Antonio is the big city, and it got flooded.
Fortunately, was no signs nowhere, and that's what I decided, maybe it's not too deep, but by choice for me.
Well, that's what many drivers experienced today. There is plenty of flooding issues along the highways, 35, 410 over on the northeast side. Big problems there as well. News 4's Christina De Leon has more on those wet conditions.
Yeah, good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to show you what it looks like here. We are at that interchange, Loop 410 and 35, and you can see police still here on the roadways as they try to make sure that this is just going to be open and back available to traffic.
Other news broadcasts, I saw the flooding and a car stuck in this. And where is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, fortunately, some people are actually asking questions, right? Oh, look. Okay. There was no hurricane, no tropical storm, just rain, and this is what we get all over now.
And first at 5, floodwaters that rushed through part of San Antonio, carrying away cars in some cases, stirring up a lot of questions now. You've likely seen this video by now. A lot of people commenting on Facebook have been asking about drainage issues across the city. Like Sharon R. here, who said this is outrageous. Let's do better, San Antonio. Margie M. said San Antonio needs drainage. Now back to that viral video that's been just about everywhere at this point. Many people are asking what went wrong here and what's being done to prevent something like this from happening in the future. Katrina Weber went looking for answers in 2 different cities.
The video alone could knock you off your feet. A driver swept up in rushing water along North New Braunfels Avenue. He was caught in a sudden deluge Tuesday morning on the edge of Alamo Heights. But all along that same street into San Antonio, drivers were in the same boat.
It's one to be avoided. Anytime it rains heavy, it does flood.
Jeff Spear knew to steer clear of the area after getting caught there himself in the past.
When we have a good hard rain, it will flood on occasion, but yesterday was unusual.
Chris Mabry says the high water also lapped at the door of Alamo Heights Car Care. Later, the shop was flooded by customers with car problems.
And what that does is damages the underneath of the vehicles. Some of the splash guards get torn out.
The cities of Alamo Heights and San Antonio both say the problems here along North New Braunfels were partly due to nature, partly man-made. A lot of rain falling quickly on drains that just couldn't keep up. All of it made for the perfect storm of trouble for drivers here. Alamo Heights city crews, meanwhile, dealt with a different problem. Trash bins and garbage in the middle of the street. Their public works director says all of that clogged drains, making the flooding worse. But
I'm so tired of hearing people say, well, the drainage system was just overwhelmed. Yeah. Well, this is interesting. This was not supposed to come up here. Tim Walz' family members go viral as they pose in Walls for Trump t-shirts.
I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket.
Yeah, his brother really came out against him, and his extended family are, for Trump. Okay, well, that was a disorganization that I just evidenced. New fires start by lightning. All right, Idaho. This morning, the smoke, the orange hue in the sky, the ring around the so-called sun that looked also kind of cherry orange. More fires in Idaho.
Yeah, the 4,000 lightning strikes that Rick just talked about, starting at least 7 new fires today. Some of those fires are burning far from structures and thankfully have not grown very large. But one right now is prompting evacuation orders. Abby, well, you've been tracking these fires all evening. What can you tell us about the progression so far?
Hunter, we definitely did not need those storms or that lightning when it comes to the fire front. Now, I want to show you just how many fires that we have burning throughout Idaho. You can see it on this map. That is a lot of red that we are seeing. And the new fires that started today, they are relatively small in regards to acreage so far. But like you said, some are now threatening property. BLM tells us that there are 4 fires that are the most pressing right now. So let's get to those. I want to start with the Glendale fire. It is located here just a little bit south of Haley. You're seeing photos that viewers have sent in to us throughout the day. You can see just that big plume of smoke coming up behind this resident's home, and the Blaine County Sheriff's Office issued evacuation notices for this fire around 7:30 tonight. Level 3 orders are in place for Rock Creek Road, which means go now. And Croy Creek and Rock Creek Canyons also just got moved to level 3 evacuation notices about 30 minutes ago. That fire has burned 550 acres so far. None of it's contained yet.
Okay, so for Idahoans, the link is in the chat if you want to hear more about the fires. But wow, it's kind of smoky here. And Bear Fire, okay, hundreds evacuated, California. Sierra County has burned more than 1,000 acres and mandatory evacuations. Oh boy, it just never stops, right? Never stops.
Yes, and as you can see behind me, we are seeing what fire crews are dealing with, and that is flames throughout the vegetation in this area. And this is just one side of the road here. And then as we go across toward the other side, we have some flames on a hillside nearby as well. So we're taking a look at just how this fire has sort of hopscotched around this immediate area near the community of Sierra Brooks. And for reference, we're about an hour north of Tahoe City, and then just for anybody who's familiar with the Reno area and its proximity to Sierra Brooks, you know that this area is roughly 45 minutes north and west of Reno. So this is what fire crews are dealing with. I'm taking a look at the vegetation here. We have some evergreen type trees. We have some generic vegetation along the side of the road here. And we've seen crews throughout this immediate community. There's a staging area about a mile away from where we are at a park in Sierra Brooks. And that's where we've seen CAL FIRE crews, we've seen U.S. Forest Service crews, there's some utility crews as well. So far, as we've been reporting, this fire has forced some evacuations of people within this community. But as of right now, we're not seeing huge numbers of people evacuating from their homes. And now that could have happened a lot earlier than we got here. But as we mentioned, I just arrived here. We're taking a look at, again, some of this fire activity that's here. We're going to continue on down the road, see what else we can see, and then we'll report back as soon as.
Okay. Report back as soon as you get new information, please. There have been a number of smaller brush fires that ignited just in the recent days in California, but they seem to have a handle on it. But what's going on in Texas, a small Texas town? Why, seemingly healthy cattle starting to die. Gee, well, you know. Cows fart, cause climate change, get rid of them. And we know that they're not just culling the two-legged.
Time now 5:25. Now to your morning headlines.
Yeah, starting with a story that's not suitable for the breakfast table. You've been warned. Seemingly healthy cows suddenly starting to die in Axtell, Texas, just northeast of Waco.
They did soil samples, grass samples, everything that's possible. Nobody could tell me what was going on.
That's when they finally decided to test the water. They discovered high levels of blue-green algae. According to an expert at Texas A&M, the cow patties in the fields combined with the heavy rain and heat may have caused the toxin to bloom. The only way to get rid of the algae is, well, to treat the water.
New photos.
Yeah, we should now start calling this planet just death. The death planet. 3-alarm fire breaks out at tire shop in Queens, New York.
Now a large fire burning at a tire shop in Jamaica, Queens. This is a significant fire. Shannon Sohn is live at Newscopter 7 with more. Wow, this is a raging fire, Shannon.
It really is raging. The flames could be seen literally billowing up into the air 20 feet, and the actual smoke can be seen from miles and miles away. Right now, this is a 2-alarm fire at 150-05 Liberty Avenue, which unfortunately for the fire department, this is a tire store. This is a 2-story building, and it is full of tires. So you can imagine how quickly this can rage out of control. In addition to that, the fire department had a problem with one of the fire hydrants, so they had to do a relay when they got here. All of this hampering their efforts here on Liberty Avenue between 150th Street and Tuckerton Street. Now, we're just going to bring you in close to these flames here because you can see that fireball just erupting out of the top of the building. And we're going to bring you over to the sidewalk where you're going to see so many tires just lined up in front of that shop. You can imagine how.
My God, I wouldn't want to be close to that smoke. 6 people displaced after a house fire in Hampton, Virginia.
All new tonight, Hampton Fire and Rescue are investigating a house fire that displaced 6 people. Crews were called to Wythe Parkway just before 6 p.m. 10 on your side's Kagan Hughes has more.
We're here on Wythe Parkway where 6 people are displaced but safe due to a house fire. Hampton Fire Rescue tells me that it started on the porch, then the fire grew all the way to the attic.
El Paso Fire Department responded to a house fire in south central El Paso. That was earlier this morning. This was a look at the scene earlier here this morning, and fire officials say the blaze was reported at a home on Overland Avenue at about 12:30 a.m. Luckily,
I feel badly for these people.
Southern California, an active state of emergency as residents watch their homes be torn apart amid a widening landslide. Look at this video here. Leaders say that the land beneath Ranchos Palos Verdes is sliding 9 to 12 inches per week. That's about 30 miles south of Los Angeles. For some perspective, the movement has been buckling roads and damaging homes in the area. People living in the growing landslide zone have been dealing with the issue for the past year, but some even going without gas for the past month.
When you look around at this damage, what's the emotion that goes through your head?
This is a hard pill to swallow, this one. We're in our 80s.
Yeah, this is tough. The light's already off in more than 200 homes, and owners have been warned, be ready to evacuate.
60.
It's really very sad what's happening. And all of these people who, they can't sell their homes. Nobody's going to be buying homes. The homes are just getting destroyed because the land is shifting. They shut the gas off. They shut the electricity off in this area. And no, not everybody is, flush with cash. Not everybody is rich. Even if they have, the kind of house that a lot of people would presume, oh, wow, they're wealthy. Especially not today with our economy. And I was listening to this man today who was talking about his father worked hard for decades just so that they could retire, buy a house in this area, and it's gone. Everything that he worked for is gone. And these people are getting no help. No help. The land shifting, how many times have I shown all of the extremely low frequencies that blast away in Southern California. Okay? Yeah. So that could shift land. And these extremely low frequencies are going 24/7. They have been for years. Going 24/7. Right? Earthquakes, landslides, mudslides, hurricanes, the weather modification, extremely low frequencies. It's very easy for people to just do a little bit of research on the dangers of extremely low frequencies. They don't even have to do the research themselves, because many of us have done that research, posted videos. All you have to do is listen. So a whole lot of people are really suffering, and, well, they broke up community before doing the physical breakup. Maybe that was purposeful, huh? Maybe. But was it this video?
I'm at the end of my rope.
Frustration mounting for neighbors in Rancho Palos Verdes after serious land movement. Both electricity and the gas have been turned off, but many are choosing to stay in their homes anyway. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand live now after a meeting in which the community pleaded for help. Jory.
Such a tough situation for so many families in this area tonight, Mark. There are actually two meetings today. One special meeting on the power being cut off to more than 100 homes in this area. The other was the regularly scheduled city council meeting. You can imagine there were plenty of folks upset, frustrated, and scared at both of those meetings today as their gas is turned off, their power is turned off, and the land beneath their feet and their homes continues to shift.
We are not leaving. This community is not leaving. As somebody said at a meeting on Saturday to the sheriff, if you come to take us out of here, where are you going to put us? We're not going. So they won't have to worry about where we're going, because we're not going anywhere.
Why are there homeless people getting kicked out of their house?
You guys didn't have any backup systems for your sewers. That's absolutely incompetence. That's all.
So one of those residents tonight likening the situation to the Titanic. They're going down and the water needs to be stopped, and there is a lot of blame going around. You heard City Council draw a lot of ire. A lot of it's going towards SoCal Edison, who gave people less than a day's notice that their power was going to be shut off. That was in the Portuguese Bend area Sunday. Yesterday, folks in the Seaview area were given mere hours before they lost their power. And then there are the complaints about development and water runoff, since water below ground is the cause of all this land movement in the first place. But this story should sum up frustration tonight. When SoCal Edison turned the power off, they turned off power to a portion of the city's sewer system, which is run on pumps. It needs power. It was a holiday weekend and the city wasn't doing anything, so residents banded together, got some pumps, and hooked them up to the city's sewer system to get it back up and running themselves.
They didn't have any generators for the sewers. They didn't have any backup system. Our residents got together themselves, collected generators, some electricians, got the sewers running, and pulled off the evacuation order ourselves with no help whatsoever from the city.
If we have the land moving still and we haven't protected the land and stopped the water coming in, all the money you're going to get from the governor right now is going to go right down to the ocean. So we have a problem.
You know, they received less than a day notice before the lights were turned off. That is absolutely unacceptable. We need to do a better job to regulate our utilities so that they don't fail our residents like this.
And fail they do, over and over and over again. Do not expect any kind of help from your government anymore. Mother of 6 upset after roof collapse. Look at this. And they don't even say why. Come on.
Family's home wrecked by rain after the roof collapsed early this morning. A mother.
This was after wrecked by rain. By rain. By rain. Okay.
And her 6 children rushing out, now left with nowhere to go.
Local 10's Janine Stanwood joining us live from Hallandale Beach with more on the damage left behind. Janine.
And this family tells us they've been suffering actually for the last couple of weeks and months because their home had already had damage from flooding that happened over the summer. But according to Broward Sheriff Fire Rescue, recent rains just overnight did this, caused a hole in the roof, some of the ceiling collapsing, and now it's deemed unsafe.
I literally came home from work 12 hours and I heard the beam cracking, and that's what made me take my kids out of here, or we would have still been in there.
Tikiana Bryant was able to get her 6 kids out just in the nick of time before the ceiling started caving in.
My son, my last son, is the one who literally was coming down, and I'm pulling him out as it's coming down.
It all happened this morning at this condo complex off Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Broward Sheriff Fire Rescue says likely rounds of rain were the culprit. Part of the ceiling collapsing. There's a hole in the roof and damage to the inside. Police and fire rescue on scene. Thankfully, Bryant was not injured. Neither were her kids. But now her home has been deemed unsafe.
Yeah, we lost everything. Clothes, shoes, everything. My fridge is full of groceries. Everything.
Bryant tells.
And what are they going to do? Losing entire life-saving. Oh, this is the Rancho Palos Verdes area. One more video.
Just really frightening. There's a lot of uncertainty out here. Colleen and Annabelle, we are in the Seaview area, like you mentioned. This is just west of the Portuguese Bend community. We were out there yesterday after their power got turned off. You can see a lot of this area is closed off because of these homes starting to buckle because of that dangerous landslide. To give you some perspective, Colleen and Annabelle, we have been tracking this since the land started to move. Last summer, the roof was level, but you can see how dramatic it has dropped now. The home dipping nearly 8 feet. And then just beyond that, you can see the road. The road has completely caved in another 10 feet, something we've noticed every time we come out here. It seems to be sinking in even more. And a lot of people just really concerned out here because they don't know what's going to happen next or what they're going to do since they have nowhere they think that they can move to. Southern California Edison shut off power to 105 homes.
Oh, man.
Cool equipment at risk.
People west of us had power and some didn't. So there's no defined area that they can even explain right now. So I have no idea what's going to happen.
Throughout the area, power will be off for varying periods. 47 homes are expected to be off for 24 hours. 38 homes could be 1 to 3 weeks, and 20 homes have been told indefinitely. Jill Carlton was told 24 hours, but says many people are confused why there are different timelines. This power shutoff comes one day after 140 homes in the Portuguese Bend community were turned off. City and county officials say landslides in Rancho Palos Verdes continue to worsen. It's been shifting since the 50s, but it's now moving at an accelerated rate of more than a foot a week in certain areas, with the heavy rains speeding up the movement.
Wow. Okay. I just, can you imagine? Imagine. This is your home. This is where you live. That, you know, and for a lot of Americans, their house is their only real asset. And it's gone. Wow. So, and yeah, apparently there's a flood insurance loophole. FEMA? Wow. Our government just doesn't seem to do the job the taxpayers pay them to do.
Has discovered that the federal government can actually deny your flood insurance claim, even if you've done everything right.
And tonight we're continuing to push for answers about a loophole that could cause your national flood insurance policy to be worthless when you need it. Consumer investigator Shannon Bankett is live in studio tonight to explain. Shannon.
Stacey, Keith, homeowners and legislators are now both telling me that they had no idea about this loophole. And as it stands now, when you buy a national flood policy, there is no way for you to check to make sure that you will be fully covered. Last week, I introduced you to Danielle Jensen. Her family moved from North Carolina to this Shore Acres home just months before Tropical Storm Debbie blew through, causing nearly $100,000 in damages to their house.
It was the second or third surge. It was at 3 a.m. in the morning. Water started coming in.
Jensen says she thought they were protected by an $8,600 national flood insurance policy administered by FEMA. But weeks after an adjuster started their claim, it was denied. They were told the previous homeowner filed a claim for the same damaged materials in December 2023 and did not make repairs, leaving them on their own as if they never even bought a flood policy.
So even down to the appliances that have the same serial number from the prior loss claim.
The kicker is there's no way to be proactive. FEMA confirms to Better Call Bankin that it does not require policyholders prove they made repairs, and new homeowners cannot check to make sure they did. FEMA has issued over 1.7 million NFIP policies in Florida, with more than $400 billion in total coverage. There's no way to know how many of those policyholders would be denied damages because of unrepaired prior loss claims, just like Jensen's. Would you have ever bought this house if you'd done this?
No.
Traditionally, homeowners insurance requires you prove you made the repairs your policy paid you to make. But a FEMA spokesperson confirmed FEMA does not require this for NFIP policies.
Does not require any proof that you actually made repairs? Private insurers do, but not FEMA? Oh, God. Florida homeowner says his insurer dropped him when he listed his home for sale.
Selling a house can be a difficult thing. Sometimes it has its own stresses of making sure that your house is always in order and everything when people come to see it. But I didn't know that the nightmare was really going to be with the insurance company. After having my house on the market for a couple of months, I got a letter from the insurance company saying they were dropping my insurance. And the reason that they gave me when I called them is because it was up for sale. And they told me they regularly check realtor listings and things like that in the MLS to see if any of their covered people are selling homes. Their policy is not to insure homes that are for sale, and I asked why, and they said because it was a liability to them with increased traffic going in the house, which didn't make a lot of sense, because if you have people over your house on a regular basis for gatherings and parties and stuff, there's going to be more people in and out and an opportunity for more liability. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I fought with them a little bit, got a couple insurance carrier agents to try to help me find insurance. But it took literally months to find insurance, and the clock was ticking with the current carrier that they were dropping me at a certain date. And it wasn't until the week before that I was coming due where I wasn't going to have any insurance that I finally got People's Insurance from the state of Florida, which is a lot more expensive than a lot of carriers, which is, again, it's more stressful. So I more than doubled the amount of money going out for insurance on the same property that nothing's changed. In fact, there's less traffic in my house now than there was before. So,
all right, so be careful. If you put your house on the market, make sure that you've called your insurance agent to see if they're going to cancel your insurance. Very difficult to find insurance, home insurance, and a whole lot, you might be paying a whole lot more for new insurance, but especially a whole lot of people have their houses on the market for a very, very long time, especially the recent years. And that's getting a longer amount of time as this economy just, I guess it's blooming. It's wonderful. It's not. All All right, so listen to this. I'm just going to play a few minutes. The link is below. This is Rebel Capitalist. Look, I just feel like this country is a scam. You know, yeah, all right. This is Bombshell Report Reveals Government Conspiracy to Defraud Homeowners. I'm just going to play a few minutes of this. Listen.
Mitch, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Just give your backstory really quick, and then tell us how you came across this, quite literally a conspiracy to defraud homeowners in Texas.
Sure. I am a 35-year builder developer.
All right, I just want to say it's not just Texas, but that this is where this man is from. It's all over the country, and this has been going on for a very long time.
With a background in statistical probability and quantitative finance, I'm originally from Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and I left my home country because of the socialism. And now here I am investigating what has come our way since 2016, when I realized that Denton Central Appraisal District was committing fraud on the public. And I didn't realize the depth in 2016, but I knew something was wrong. And then in 2017, that's when we really started digging in, because they tried to jump the value of one of my retail buildings from what had been settled in 2016.
I think that this is being perpetrated not only in Texas, but nationwide.
Again, it
possibly.
jumped minutes.
Here I am investigating what has come our way since 2016, when I realized that Denton Central Appraisal District was committing fraud on the public. And I didn't realize the depth in 2016, but I knew something was wrong. And then in 2017, that's when we really started digging in, because they tried to jump the value of one of my retail buildings from what had been settled in 2016 at roughly $1 million to 1.7. Well, coincidentally, my income went down. If my income goes down on an income producing property, please explain how the value goes to 1.7. In other words, even at 1.7, the income off the property could not support the taxes. The property could never generate the revenue to support the taxes. So we filed 2017 all the way through. We've been filing year after year after year lawsuits. We have won every single one of them, but this is not inexpensive. So finally, what happened in 2023, I told Matt in 2016, there was a wizard behind the screen doing this, because there is no computer system on this planet that could be monkeying with these numbers to the point of what we had discovered. Well, in August of 2023, Don Spencer, the chief appraiser, stood in front of the board and told the board that they took 60,000 properties outside of the database, manipulated them in Excel, and put them back. The person who did it, her name is Rebecca Townsend. She works directly for Don Spencer. Here's the problem. She's the wizard behind the screen. Admittedly, okay? A week after that, Charles Stafford, the board of directors member, stands in front of the board and tells the public, Mr. Spencer, you and your team are the masters at guessing. Those two issues alone prove the entirety of the case. They have admitted to manipulating the data, but it gets even better. So the day Mr. Spencer said that statement, I have something called an infection rate spreadsheet, which is actually used for studying how fast a disease rolls through a county or country. So I applied that math to Mr. Spencer's statement of 60,000, and that turned out to be 76% corrupt database. And that proves right on the spot that they're committing fraud on a mass scale. But it got worse. So let's just say that Don Spencer lied, which is a very high probability. Let's turn it from 60,000 to 80,000. That became 92% corrupt data. And what they've been doing year after year is not using true comparisons. So if you go all the way back to 2016, And just on one property, that one property has 6 comparisons for the sake of argument. That's typically what they use. Well, if 2 out of the 6 are erroneous, such as what they just did with my house by way of example. So they gave me a comp that's 35 miles away in Carrollton, Texas, and they gave me another comparison in Northlake, Texas, which is about 22 miles away. Yet I built the subdivision that I'm literally standing in right now. Okay? The law says you have to use like-kind comparisons. How better can you get than the comparisons from the own subdivision?
Okay. This is just raising property taxes to increase government revenue, right? So they artificially inflate the property value of homes in this little tiny town in Idaho. Okay? And this town has been impoverished. I mean, it was a farming town, and it's pretty much, there's nothing in it. All the businesses have been shut down. There's a library, a post office, and a gas station, and an elementary school, which will probably be shut down for next year. Okay. So I see these for sale signs on these homes, and it's not an affluent area. These are modest homes. I see for sale signs. I go on the real estate pages. The cheapest one was $299,000. There's a manufactured home on, I think, maybe half acre, 3-bedroom, manufactured home, going for $360,000. So when they inflate the property values, what happens with property taxes? They go up. It's all fraudulent. Everything is artificial in our country. I'm going to put there's more that this man has discovered in terms of the fraud coming out of government and government officials and stealing. It's all about stealing money from Americans. Tiny house company leaves San Diego buyers houseless. How many companies, how many contractors, how many solar companies just taking people's money and running? So it's not just government officials. It seems to be the American way.
After receiving complaints about a local home builder called the Tiny House Company. 2 couples allege they paid tens of thousands of dollars for tiny homes that were never delivered.
As CBS 8's David Gofferson reports, the Tiny House Company has now filed for bankruptcy.
They showed us pictures of things they've done, and it looked really nice.
Megan and Wyatt Borkland plan to build a tiny house in his parents' backyard in Hamul. They contacted the Tiny House Company in Vista and made a $20,000 down payment after meeting in person with the CEO, David Flake.
The first time we met Dave, we were telling him that we're having a kid, and he was nice. He was telling us about his kid, how he has grandkids.
But it wasn't until the couple says they made a second payment of $50,000 that they started to see red flags.
We had asked for progress pictures and videos just to, know that things are being done, and nothing would be done for weeks. And we kept getting excuses after excuses.
Last month, they got a text saying the company had filed for bankruptcy. They were left high and dry with nothing to show for their $70,000 investment.
We've talked to 2 or 3 lawyers, and they just tell us there's not really a chance we'll get all of our money back. They say we might get a little bit back, and pretty much there's not a chance we're going to get the house.
And as it...
Yeah, the American way. Apocalypse in Spain. Another flood in a whole lot of different towns in Spain. Countries are getting hit over and over and over again.
Heavy rain and hail are leading to flooding in many cities in Spain.
We've seen this movie before. About Italy, a super tornado. Yeah, Italy is known for its tornadoes.
October 3rd, 2024. A powerful tornado was reported to have struck several places in the Italian region of Puglia on Tuesday afternoon.
And that looks like it's headed right for that farm. I will post the link if you want to see more destruction, but well, what can you say? How about Turkey flooding Istanbul?
Storms in Turkey. Floods in Istanbul and hail in Sinop. It rained heavily in Istanbul. Many areas of the city were flooded on August 28. Warnings for Istanbul came one after another.
Now, I don't think a lot of people understand that the flooding that they actually witness where they are, whether in Florida, wherever, Connecticut, Vermont, is happening all over the world every day. So I could show you, video of Spain or Turkey or Italy and just say that it's the United States. And people would not even know, because the flooding looks very similar. 2-3 feet of water, cars floating on by. And don't you think that that is questionable? Like, doesn't it beg questions that so many are experiencing the same kinds of flooding? What do people do with this information if they knew? Are they just inputting climate change to reconcile, what they're looking at? I don't know. But we don't have a lot of people who can actually think anymore. And we all know that, right? All right, so when you look at all of that destruction, the houses being flooded, apartments, their roofs, caving in, their cars being destroyed, businesses being destroyed by rain, and then factor in the economy, then factor in how our government is literally just pulling the switch on everything. Our rights, our finances, our health, for sure.
Confined to a wheelchair with cerebral palsy. Even though she's 34 years old, this Jacksonville, Florida resident cannot do much alone.
You need help with everything from
getting up to eat, to preparing meals, to going out in the community. I need help, I would say almost 24/7.
And yet for more than a month, Aiken says she was alone overnight after the state of Florida revoked her essential Medicaid coverage.
It was pure panic because I'm like, what the heck happened?
During the pandemic, the federal government required states to keep providing health care coverage to Medicaid recipients, even if they lost their eligibility. Then the public health emergency went away, and eligibility rules came back last year for the program that's supposed to help low-income and disabled Americans. Since then, more than 25 million people have lost coverage during what's been dubbed the unwinding of Medicaid. And according to a health policy research group, roughly 70% of those who lost coverage did so because of procedural reasons like paperwork issues, though some may genuinely not qualify anymore.
You have anything? I have mail for you. Okay.
Kimberly Bryant helps lead Aiken's care team. She says Aiken received digital notices that were not sent to her care coordinators.
Even if she did find this online, would she have been able to read this?
No, she can't see that because she's legally blind.
Many patient advocates say Florida's unwinding has been particularly sloppy.
And it's caused me a lot of stress.
They estimate thousands of disabled people like Lauren are being impacted in that state alone. And now plaintiffs in a class action lawsuit allege the state has violated the constitutional rights of tens of thousands of Floridians, ending coverage without adequate notice and with little or no explanation of the actual reason. We repeatedly asked Florida officials for comment, which they never gave. So we went to a press conference to ask Governor Ron DeSantis why people who should have Medicaid lost coverage.
I'm not sure that's true.
The Secretary of the Florida Department of Children and Families stepped in to say this.
We're committed to ensuring that anyone who is eligible maintains coverage.
We do have an appointment Friday.
But without coverage, Bryant says she took out personal loans to pay Aiken's care team.
A little bit over $12,000 now.
$12,000?
Yes.
Of your money?
My money.
Why would you put out $12,000 for someone you have only known months?
I guess because if it was me, I would want somebody to care. I couldn't walk away.
Late last week, Lauren Aiken's care team says her coverage was restored. It took almost 3 months and a team of people helping her. Meanwhile, Aiken says she's lost faith in the system that's supposed to help her live life to the fullest.
If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Jesse Kirsch, NBC News, Jacksonville, Florida.
Thanks.
We're such a caring and compassionate society. Rotten jail. Hospitals are closing down all over. This is Dorchester, Massachusetts.
Antoinette, a spokesperson for Steward, says it's important for people to know that as of 7 tomorrow morning, this is no longer a hospital. It is just a building with no one inside to care for people who are sick or in need. We saw more steps toward that shutdown happen this morning.
I'm just calling to officially put us on code black.
This phone call put an end to ambulances bringing patients to Kearney Hospital in Dorchester. Boston EMS then made the announcement to their crews.
The Kearney will officially be on code black as of 0700 hours today.
Earlier in the morning, the last patient brought by ambulance was wheeled into the ER.
Just the other day, we were still seeing 100 people a day in this ER.
The doors at Kearney Hospital and Neshoba Valley Medical Center in Ayer will close at 7 tomorrow morning. Bankrupt Steward Healthcare says they could not find qualified bidders for the hospitals. ER nurse Dana Burns tells us workers started clearing out supplies earlier this week.
Watching equipment go out the door that we're still using.
Kearney served as one of the nation's first COVID hospitals, dedicating a floor for coronavirus patients in the first weeks of the pandemic.
We had families at home that we were worried about, and people just dug in and did what they had to do.
Now, as nurses and other staff work their last shifts, Burns had this to say about Steward's CEO, who has been widely criticized for his lavish lifestyle as the hospital chain he managed fell apart.
You were out buying yachts and jets and going to the Olympics. You're at the Olympics while we're all losing our jobs. We're losing the community we care about. It's just a disgrace, and I hope in the end you rot in jail.
And may he rot in jail. Yeah. Gotta wonder what the hell is wrong with people who don't think about other people. Yeah. Hospital goes bankrupt, but he's got a shitload, tons of money. Yeah. And yes. Here, let's just listen to this man.
Is 1660.
Sadly, this is getting to be the story of pretty much everybody out there. I haven't rented since I was in my 20s, so I've been out of the housing market forever on this shit. But I tried to help my niece get a place about 6-8 months ago, something like that. And she was telling me everything she found was $1,900, $2,300, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, sweetheart, you just let me look for you. There's something out there, $500-600 a month that's decent. I'll find it. There's not. Like, how? I mean, why did we get to this point? Why is just a decent place to sleep and cook and survive exist? Why is it $3,000, $4,000 a fucking month? I mean, it's ridiculous. Something's got to change. Otherwise, we're going to end up with half the country homeless.
Hear me out here. I feel like...
Well, that's exactly where we're going. First Dollar General, now Dollar Tree, shares plunge. Both retailers warn of core customer under pressure. The Dollar Tree, their shares plunge. Wow. Okay. Americans know what the Dollar Tree is. For those of you who don't, well, everything in the store was $1. But then they went up to $1.25, and now they have, shelves selling things for like $5 or whatever. But it's like the cheapest store in America, Dollar Tree, in the U.S. People aren't even buying at the Dollar Tree. Weak manufacturing measures raise specter of U.S. economic slowdown. Really? It raises the specter of an economic slowdown? These lies coming out of mainstream media, not informing Americans how they're supposed to inform Americans. Well, it's an abject disgrace, but also dangerous. So, okay, slowdown? There's a possibility of an economic slowdown. Dollar Tree is sinking. Yeah, I think there's an economic slowdown possibility. All right. Here we go. I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to present what came up for me today. Okay? And when I say that things are getting far worse, I'm not exaggerating. Okay? Things are getting far worse. And I don't even know what to say about it, other than to say, if you've not experienced any of this in your area, may you never have to. But don't think it won't come to you, okay? And be ready. Be ready for anything. Because, wow, our country has really turned into just a third world hellhole of violence.
The shooting spree started around 3:30 Tuesday morning. The shooting spree started around 3:30 Tuesday morning on the 16,000 block of Avery Lane in Prunedale.
I just figured a neighbor was scaring away a coyote. Second shot I heard, I thought the same thing. It's really not that uncommon out here. And then right after that, it was just a boom, 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 boom for like 15 seconds. And then at that point, I knew something wasn't right.
By daylight, the alleged gunman, 39-year-old Vicente Arroyo, was in custody without incident. And the slaughter he's accused of carrying out in plain sight. Dozens of farm animals shot dead.
It is a horrible scene. We are very fortunate that no human lives were lost, but we are estimating that almost 100 animals, different types of animals, were killed in this incident. We've got goats and rabbits, guinea pigs, chickens, a small horse, and unfortunately all of these animals were killed during this incident.
Deputies say Arroyo has family in the area and may have recently moved there. Investigators say he was armed with a large cache of firearms. Hundreds of rounds were fired, triggering a shelter-in-place and SWAT response.
The gunfire started down there. At that point, we just hunkered down. I had my wife and my kid get down on the floor, away from a window as low as we could get.
We don't have any information that he was looking for anyone specific. It appears from what we see, the animals were the targets that he chose to go after today.
The shooting spree even leaving veteran officers in shock.
I've been doing this for 24 plus years now, and no, I've unfortunately never seen anything like this when it comes to animal life lost. It's very tragic, very unfortunate.
Okay. What do you say to this? What? I don't... Okay. We'll go on. Mexican government will now be busing illegals from Mexico's southern border to the U.S. southern border and provide a police military escort with food along the way. Yeah. All countries down with migration. An illegal alien arrested for stabbing a 14-year-old girl who was watching her brother's baseball game.
Statewide News Network covers Lake County, where the sheriff says a man is under arrest for stabbing a teenager. Investigators say this picture is from when 26-year-old Dimas Gabriel Yanez was taken into custody. Deputies tell us he was in the process of cutting his hair to change his appearance when he was arrested. They say Yanez stabbed a 14-year-old girl who was watching her brother's baseball game in Lowell over the weekend. She has been treated and was released from the hospital. The sheriff says Yanez was deported to Honduras in 2018. Investigators believe he's been involved in criminal activity since illegally returning to the U.S. Statewide News Network covered.
But I guess they just couldn't keep him out of the country. I guess they couldn't keep him in jail. 8 men wiped out a store, a jewelry store. Okay, jewelry store in Denver, robbed by Venezuelan gang.
Dropping to their knees, held at gunpoint. Some of the staff fleeing to the back. Munoz able to grab her kids and escape.
My mom and my cousin closed the door as I grabbed my 18-month-old baby.
Her mom, Lydia Tena, tried to hit the panic button before one of the robbers attacked her.
They hit her in the back of her head with the gun 3 times. They also hit my cousin Magdalena in the back of the head. She felt like they were going to kill her after they hit her 3 times with the gun in her head. And she, one of the times, tried to move to push the panic button. And they told her that if she moved at all once more, that they were going to kill her and they were going to kill my cousin.
Within another minute, cameras in the back capturing 4 more men entering the back door.
They had white gloves and they were all loading their guns.
Munoz says one assaulted her sister, who walked into all the chaos.
He grabbed her by her hair, pulled her up the stairs. and told her not to move or he was going to kill her. And while he had her face down to the floor, he yanked all of her personal jewelry off.
The 8 men wiping out the store that's been here for 24 years in a matter of 3 minutes.
Everything, they just sort of started putting it in backpacks and duffel bags.
Denver police confirming they are looking for these 8 Hispanic men.
It's organized crime and their accent is from Venezuela.
All right. How about the Army protecting New York City Hotel, which this is not the first time that we've seen the Army inside a hotel, or the Army or military. Well, they're not going to admit they're protecting the migrants, but that's essentially what it is.
Can I speak to Paul McKenzie, please? He's gone for the day?
Yes, sir.
This guy's never there. Who's managing the hotel?
Same guy.
I see. You know, I called during the day, they said he wasn't available. I call at 4:30, you say he's not there. I think you're avoiding me. What is going on with the Army at this hotel? Why do you have the Army in the hotel? Okay, so we see what's going on with this hotel. It does appear to be a migrant hotel. We see there's little kids and ladies with crutches hanging out at this hotel, and they have the Army there. But even if it is a migrant hotel, that doesn't explain why they're allowed to use the Army to protect a hotel. Who's getting that money? I mean, I guess it's the Ehrlich family in this FJC security company, but why are they allowed to use public tax money to hide whatever is going on there from the public? Now, what's this? Ah, look at this. We've got a Walcott Hotel vehicle of some kind. It says employee parking permit. So they're moving people. Ah, here's the Army again. So what is the Army doing here, gentlemen? What is the U.S. Army doing at this hotel, gentlemen? Can you tell me? Mr. Rodriguez, can you tell me what the Army is doing here? Why don't you guys tell me what the Army is doing here?
You guys can talk to my chain of command.
Who?
My chain of command.
Who's the commanding officer in this hotel? Excuse me, Marine. I demand to speak to your commanding officer. Why are you walking away from me? You are in violation of the law, sir. You're in violation of the United States Constitution and the Posse Comitatus Act. Who's the commanding officer at this facility? I demand that you tell me. Who is the commanding officer at this facility? I demand to know! Who is in charge? Who is the military person in charge here? Who is the military? Call the cops. Call them now. Who is the military person in charge? Who?
Okay, no answers. I'm going to leave the link. You can watch the remaining, I don't know, a minute and a half. But yeah, it's infuriating to be ignored. Right? Ignored. Ignored by the people that you cough up your tax dollars to pay. This is an invasion, treason, and we're just hey, let it, come on, bring it on, bring it on. I love it. I love all of this drama and all of this crime, and apparently Americans do. It is unbelievable. No, it's not. Not when, you've been watching Americans for years. It's not unbelievable. But when, you know, they're dragging you down with their, I don't care, I ain't doing anything. And they're here, they're going to help the economy. Oh, you believe Kamala Harris? Yeah, bring in all of these, and you believe Nancy Pelosi, because they've never lied to you, and you believe them. They're going to help the economy. We need them because, well, Americans just don't want to work anymore, and there's so many jobs. Come on down, because you can see that these migrants, well, they're professionals. They're experts in their field. Oh, we need them to pick fruit because Americans just don't want it. No, robots are picking the fruit. Sorry. Yeah, everybody thinks everybody's a crisis actor. Or it's not real. Or it's, you know, wow. Well, that's part of the, yeah, madness. Illegal migrant in New York City just admitted on video that Democrat officials told him he could vote in upcoming elections. Juan from Ecuador. I will post the link. And another Nick Shirley video that I will post the link to. He's in Aurora and interviewing a lot of the migrants who are living in absolutely horrible conditions. And some of the migrants are, one was this woman who has children crying because she wants to go back to Venezuela. Other migrants have said that they've left third world countries only to come to what they didn't expect, the United States third world country. All of the violence, all of the hell breaking loose. And yeah. Well, it's kind of, I don't understand. But then again, I do understand, because I've seen it my entire life. I've seen it before the toxic food. I've seen it before the toxic air and the toxic water and the, you know, and we have a disease of self-centeredness in our country. The huge majority of Americans are so grossly self-centered, growing up in a culture that, well, you know, promotes self-centeredness, and everybody needs to do the work to, you know, get out of that state of mind. But it does actually leave people to just not care about anything, even, you know, with their own communities just falling apart. And I guess they think that they're going to be protected from it all. No. Okay. So it's just so, it's beyond sad. There's got to be another word for sad. So, cops estimate up to 75% of Manhattan crimes committed by illegal immigrants. And I will post the link. It might be a little bit too long to post in the chat. Let's see if it works. Good. And you can read, you know, about all of the crime. 70, that's 3 in 4 committing crimes in Manhattan. Well, I don't think it's just Manhattan, because New York City, Manhattan is just a borough, so it's got to include, you know, the 4 other boroughs of Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island. But this isn't the first place, you know, that I've seen this. And yeah, but this is amazing. So this is on but I can't believe I can't remember. Neil McCoy Wards. Thank you, Carol, for your brain working. He posted this today, and he's really like, wow, you know, like, this is happening in the U.S.? Like, how does this happen? Well, it's happening. But this tweet that he pulls up, this citizen is talking to a police officer who says that they can't do anything. It's a sanctuary city. So they can't do anything about the illegal committing crime.
This happened yesterday, and I want you to listen to this dialogue here.
First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he is legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
Okay, so he's saying this is a sanctuary city. This is a police officer. So we cannot do anything against this man because he's an undocumented migrant.
No, we don't. Because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal undocumented.
So you're going to let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're going to let him go free right now to this elevator?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to call ICE to come pick him up and deport him.
Wow. I mean, this is... I mean, before we even carry on, because I've got to tell you what has just occurred today, I'm just amazed. I don't know how people can live in some of these US cities and states. If you are living in one of these cities, please tell me in the comments how. I can't even fathom how you could live in these places where, and some of the videos I can't even play, they're so shocking, of some of the crimes these gangs are committing, and home invasions with, you know what, you know, it's unbelievable. How is this even happening? And it gets even worse than this. But let me go forward to
Denver Mayor
play
Mike
this.
Johnson announcing new funding to help the migrant crisis, but it comes with cuts to many city services, including taking millions away from police. Alicia Acuna is live.
So this is Denver, who is cutting the budget for law enforcement with everything that's going on with the migrants in Denver, Aurora. They're cutting the what was it? Something like 8.4 million from police. Denver, let me read that again. Denver defunds 8.4 million from police to aid migrants. Hello? Anyone home? Look, ma'am, we're getting messages left and right every single day. We've been getting them for a very, very, very long time that our government is destroying us, and that's for a lot of the awake crowd as well. Just well, oh well. Wow, man. All right. He's got a lot of information here. But the Pope says repelling, abandoning migrants is a grave sin. Mr. Evil Incarnate. Yeah, really? Okay. Do you know the Vatican is like its own country? Oh, and it's got a wall? Okay. No problem. Okay, 2020 election, Arizona. Over 10,000 illegal migrants used the same Social Security number to vote in 2020 in Arizona.
We discovered 10,000 people using the exact Social Security number. See if this one rings true. You take an illegal, you bring them in. They sign a piece of paper promising to pay taxes. What they get is a Social Security number. So the employers can take out the taxes. Put a pin in that. Here's what they do. In cities like this, let's think of a chicken processor. They will bring in hundreds of illegals. They will spread them out across all of these plants and factories, giving them jobs. They're all using the same Social Security number. The IRS unconnected our names from the Social Security number. Now when you look it up, it just pings to see if there's an employer. If there is, it says it's good, it validates it. Why do they do that? Because all of these factories are giving them Social Security numbers. The government turns its back on it. As soon as you have a Social Security number and you go over to motor voter, pass the driver's test, right? You get a driver's license. The person looks, you got a social, you must be a citizen. That's how they pack the rolls. By the way, those guys don't pay taxes anyway. It's taken out by companies. Our government's been sitting on $1.7 trillion slush fund that one fund has still in it to this day.
We are exceptional. The link is in the chat. You can listen to the remaining minute and a half of this man's presentation. But yeah, people are getting so wealthy, so magnificently rich on all of these agendas as we get destroyed. The big lie of skilled migrant workers saving Western economies. Yeah. Didn't I just mention something about this? Possibly one of the most prevalent claims from the political left is that Western economies, quote, need illegals, unquote, in order to support the dragging economy and fill a hungry labor market. An extension of this idea is that many of these migrants are skilled workers that the West desperately needs for vital roles. And who could possibly believe that? Are we really? Are some Americans just so pathetically stupid that they could believe that? Okay. Maybe. No one is safe. Americans need to arm themselves now. ICE agents warn. I'm going to play a few minutes of this, but I will post the link. Things are not good. Things are quite bad.
And it's happening all across American suburbs. By the way, think this isn't coming to a town near you. Think again. For years on this show, we've been detailing illegal criminal gangs like MS-13 carrying out brutal attacks on Americans while the Biden administration refuses to deport these guys. Even going back to my time at Fox News.
Yeah. Pray that we can vote our way out of this.
Why does this happen? That was at the start of the video, and then it just jumps ahead like someone's in there doing it. Okay.
That they were carrying out on Americans under President Obama's watch at the time, and come to a sanctuary city. ICE won't deport you. You can carry out brutal homicides. It doesn't matter because we won't even report you. And that's exactly what's happening. Cops won't even call ICE. Listen to a sanctuary city police officer explain how he let a double homicide killer walk free because, well, he was an illegal immigrant. We couldn't even call ICE.
We'll grab his information. information and see what we can do, but there's, you know, like I said,
Can
you please collect the information? He said that he's already illegal. He already said that he went to...
Okay, hold on, let's back up a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he's legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't, because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal.
We do not report illegal, undocumented immigrants. They're not even going to report the crime. This is a sanctuary city. Okay. I don't know. I'm just a little baffled that we just don't have decent American citizens anymore. But I'm just going to jump ahead. J.J. Carroll.
That this is actually happening. So regardless of what the police are telling the local Fox affiliate, that there are in fact multiple illegal Venezuelan gangs that have taken over multiple Colorado apartment complexes, and not just in Aurora, but now it's expanding. So it's not just an isolated incident. The city's mayor calls this a nightmare. Armed illegal immigrant gangs from Venezuela taking over these apartment complexes. Former 24-year veteran J.J. Carroll of the Customs and Border Protection, friend of the show, just told me a few weeks ago how this was all unfolding. Listen.
Venezuelan prison gangs took over a 99 apartment unit complex. And then instead of sending the money to the landlord, they were collecting the rent. And then it comes out that the city council actually says, well, that's not the only apartment complex. There are several that they have taken over in Aurora, and now they run it all. Now, and you're having broad daylight armed robberies of jewelry stores in Aurora and outside of Denver. Look, Denver's collapsing. Denver has 700,000 people live inside Denver metro area. 70,000 of that 700,000 are illegal aliens. And you think they're going to stay in? No, they're going to bleed out. They're bleeding out to Aurora right now. Where else are they going to go in the metro area?
And Ryan Wilson in our chat says, thank you. Someone that calls the BS on the Hell Angels story. I live in Aurora and they are nowhere in sight. Yes. I mean, there's I see a bunch of people that posted that on social media have now retracted that story. So there's no truth to the Hell's Angels.
This is the Hell's Angel rumor that, wow, took off like Q.
Angels are coming into Aurora, Colorado. If you are a member of the Hells Angels and you are planning on going to that town, let us know. But as far as we know, there is no confirmation of that. And in fact, a member of the Hells Angels has come out and denounced that, said that's not true at all. Meanwhile, according to ICE, the gang-involved lookouts are stationed on these buildings. This is according to ICE. This is not according to BS or whatever. This is from ICE, ICE field director in Aurora, who says that these individuals are staked out on buildings, lookouts for when individuals will show up, law enforcement and other people will show up. The field director of ICE says you'll start hearing whistles because someone they don't recognize is coming close to the apartment. And you'll hear cat calls, whistles, and so forth in order for them to sort of scatter and hide their drugs, hide weapons, etc. on that. Just so you understand what's happening here, these are former prisoners that have been released from prison in Venezuela, which are in the United States, organized and taking over buildings. And just take a look at this. This is on August 29th. This is in one of the This is one of the suburbs outside of Aurora. These new surveillance footage shows members of this gang, reportedly of this gang. They haven't been able to confirm yet if they're members of this particular gang, but they're armed with the same weapons. Going door to door, they went into this person's garage. Now, this person left their garage door open at night, but that still doesn't give you the right to come in and steal their motorcycles out of their garage. So they did that, and they're stealing vehicles, stealing bikes, breaking into houses, stealing merchandise from stores, and of course taking over apartment complexes. Mayor Mike Kaufman of Aurora confirmed the unsettling takeover of these apartment complexes. So the police are saying one thing, the mayor is saying something else. In his words, this is an organized criminal effort. There have been 0 arrests associated with these crimes. Listen.
So there are several buildings actually under the same ownership, out-of-state ownership, that have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs. I'm trying to walk it back and do the investigation as to how there's a concentration of Venezuelans in these 3 buildings. Somebody put them there and somebody funded it. whether it's federal government or not. We're trying to find out who these gangs apparently are attracted to where there's a concentration of Venezuelan migrants. And so they've in fact have kind of pushed out the property management through intimidation and then collected the rents. We have now or have had, it is ongoing operations with a task force of local law enforcement, state law enforcement partners, and federal law enforcement partners to root them out. And arrests have been made, but these operations are still ongoing.
Okay, so again, I'm going to post the link. You can watch the remaining minutes of this video redacted, but you reminded me of something, and I just want to go backwards and play. Wait one sec. Was it here? No. Where he calls, calls somebody, I believe in New York, who knows about this gang, and here it says how to identify members of Tren de Aragua. If anybody, and I did enough research on MS-13 when that was known as the most violent gang in the world, Tren de Aragua. People have likened it to MS-13 on steroids. Okay. And I've been saying that Americans, I don't think that we can comprehend the kind of, I don't even know what to call it. Words like vicious, callous come to mind. No. Pure evil. And so a lot of people who are coming out and saying, especially there's another video of a woman from Chicago who's also warning these Venezuelans, Chicago, we in Chicago, we're not Colorado, and we've got the gangs. And apparently, I think a leader of maybe the Chicago portion of this gang in Venezuela, not in Venezuela, the Venezuelan gang, was shot dead in Chicago. Okay. But just listen to this man that Nick Shirley is talking to. Move along, video. Move along. Come on. Thank you.
And before I went over to the apartment complex where the video went viral, the Venezuelan gangs walking around with a rifle, I wanted to call a friend who's a nightcrawler in New York City to explain just how dangerous these gangs are and how to identify them with their tattoos. Can you tell the people a little bit how these gangs identify themselves and what kind of tattoos they get and how people can know whether a person is a gang member or not?
Sure. So there's multiple different tattoos these gangs use. There is anything Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, the Michael Jordan sign, 23. Another telltale sign is anything with trains, right? If they have a train anywhere, train tracks, trains, that's another telltale sign of Tren de Aragua. Another thing is crowns. They love the crowns. For some reason, they love the crowns. And then you got your AK-47s, which is another symbol of the TDA gangs. Again, these are very dangerous gangs, Nick. And I've seen it firsthand, and they're linked to murders and decapitations throughout New York City now.
So these gangs, the way you can tell if they're a gang member, if they got a train tattoo, they got a crown tattoo, anything Michael Jordan and 23 related.
Yeah, Chicago Bulls, 23, hoops. Look, and again, be careful. There's a lot of robberies on the streets. Just give them your stuff and walk away. It's not worth it. These guys are dangerous. They will slice you up. I've personally seen them slice people up. I've seen them beat people senseless. They're dangerous, and I'm a born New Yorker. I grew up in the mob days, right? And even the mob didn't do what these guys are doing.
Yeah, it's
right?
getting nuts. Well, Leroy, we appreciate what you're doing in New York City, and I'm sure everyone's gonna be happy to know what these gang members and how they can spot them. These are the apartment.
So, yeah. Oh, here's this woman in Chicago.
Didn't I tell y'all not to play with Chicago? Venezuela? Didn't I tell y'all not to play with Chicago? Venezuelans? I told y'all not to play with Chicago. I don't think y'all believed me when I told y'all that them are not the people to play with. They called that place Chirac for a reason. I already knew this was going to happen to y'all. They tired of y'all. If y'all don't know what I'm saying, they just had a shooting of a man that got in the head, and he was one of the Venezuelan. And I'm hearing on the streets that he was one of the leaders. Oh, they've been staking out. They've been staking out. And they already been planning this. I told y'all that the Chicagoan people are nobody to play with. And when they are fed up, nobody can stop them. There are streets that police don't even go on. You can call them all you want. They won't show up. Y'all are playing with fire with them people. Them people are not to be played with. They already was waiting. They're sick of y'all. They're sick of your antics. They're sick of your trash behavior. They're like, oh, really? Y'all want to do nothing? We will. Let me tell you something about Chirac. They are dangerous. Dangerous as dangerous can come. Yes. Like I said, there are streets the police won't even go on. So, good luck with that, Venezuelan. I told y'all, your day will come trying to act funny and trying to act hard. You acting hard in the wrong place.
Well, we'll see, I guess, right? Man in U.S. illegally is accused of stabbing a 14-year-old girl watching her brother's game. Now, we saw kids getting stabbed in the UK, and boy, the Brits came out in force. We just watched the news. Three shot, including 2 employees at a Chicago gas station. This was just today. Harris County Deputy Constable murdered on his way to work. Shooting reported at Appalachia High School in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. Yeah, and teachers and students. And I'm not entirely, I'm not going to play all of it, but I'm just showing you that these shootings, these murders, these stabbings, and I'm not saying that everyone is an illegal migrant, but an awful lot of the crime is committed by these illegal migrants. But Americans have gone nuts, okay? They have gone violently crazy. And just gonna read, yeah. So there was a mass shooting at a high school by, apparently, a teenage kid. Suspect in custody after worker stabbed to death inside spa in Queens, New York. Woman, 3 young children, a woman and 3 young children found shot and dead inside car parked in West Haven, Salt Lake City, Utah. 1, 2, and a 4-year-old. and a woman, and they don't tell you what was going on. Okay. Long Beach neighbors on edge after homeless man stabs home owner. 2 co-workers kill each other in dispute. They kill each other because everybody's just whipping out their guns now. You're angry? And so why not just take out your gun and kill somebody? Well, at least nobody won. And I guess nobody lost. They just extinguished themselves. Couple says man charged with killing neighbor also barged into their home. 69-year-old man vanished while making a delivery in Manatee County, Florida. It's not just kids who are disappearing. It's adults. And then an awful lot of them are being found dead. Like missing Massachusetts mother found dead. Their neighbor is likely to be charged with murder. Missing woman from Virginia found dead in Maine. Family emotional, wondering why 34-year-old father found dead in ravine near Lake Lanier. Children found chained in apartment in Groverton, Washington. You know, wow. Let's just say, and I've been saying for my entire life, parenting is not what a whole lot of Americans make it out to be. Fremont man's jewelry stolen in car, break-in after bank visit. That's why I've been saying awareness, awareness. You go to the bank, you go to a store, especially high-end stores, you better watch when you leave. Is anybody following you? When you get out of your car in your driveway, I hope you have that awareness going. And before you even unlock the door to get out of your car, look around. If you see anything strange, drive to the nearest police station. That usually will get people off your tail. So this is what happened with this man. He was followed home after his bank visit. 1 dead after 2 vehicles go over cliff. There are so many car accidents killing people, but 2 vehicles go over cliff in San Francisco. Yeah. So, I will link below to these 2, Cyber Polygon. Apparently there is another. This is from Tony Punch. Thank you, Tony. They're having another exercise like they did with the original simulation of a cyber attack where the world's grid goes down and it makes the pandemic look like a walk in the park. And it would, right? So there's another fabulous exercise going on. September 10 and 11. Whoa. 9/11. Over 200 organizations from 40 countries already registered for the training. Yeah. All right. Do remember, Event 201, right? October 2019, a simulation of a worldwide, well, that's what a pandemic is, so many organizations and countries and the military and everybody was involved. It was a simulation of a pandemic. And what was that virus called? Coronavirus. October 2019. And then 2020 begins. Coronavirus. Pandemic. Oh my God. Okay. Simulation, cyber attack. 9/11. 9/10 and 9/11. I will also post to this article, Global Cybersecurity Outlook. So, yeah, a whole lot is happening, and I think a whole lot just want to, shrug it off, and oh, it's not happening, and they're all crisis actors. And even if they are, what does that tell you about our fabulous country? And they're acting for a reason. So, all of this is happening. Everything is coming very fast. It's kind of overwhelming. And this is the first time I've been overwhelmed by what's happening to us collectively. It's some are in better, straits. Some are living a better circumstance than an awful lot of people. So if other people say that they're scared, don't jump down their throat telling them, well, you better get Jesus so that you're not scared. Just listen to individuals. If you consider yourself a friend, then you listen and you provide solace. That's what friends do. And yeah, I have to say this, I do it every night, but help those in your community. A lot of people are really suffering. And when you need help, in our country, it's very hard to ask people for help. So if you know that people are needing help, extend yourself. Don't wait to be asked. And, well, live honestly and speak honestly. Live honestly and speak honestly. And don't create drama, in the cyber world, in real life. Don't be the asshole that throws in the comment because you want attention and you know what you're doing. You just want to disrupt, or you want to annoy the person who is doing a live. Try not to be that asshole, because we have too many of them. So, on that note, be safe, I hope you're doing whatever it is that you can to create community and being kind to your neighbors and just acknowledging them, that they actually exist. Only Jesus can provide that solace. Wow, man. Whoa. How sorry is that? Yeah. So just don't do anything and just let everybody suffer. And the two-legged is just here for fucking what? All right, I gotta go, because those kinds of comments really get to me. Be safe. Help people. And thank you for showing up Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.